Welcome to the Simbad Podcast. I am Jay, and here we are, version 2 maybe, episode 1, and I'm so excited to have you people with us because this is an exciting new experiment for us, and let's get into it. In this episode, we're going to be going over the results of the Simbad Survey. What did you guys have to say about Simbad? We're also hosting a giveaway for one of four 1 month Game Passes. That's Xbox Game Pass for people to try out Forza Horizon 4. It just came out. A lot of you people are already loving it, so we want to try and get more people involved, see if we can get our own little racing club going. And finally, we're going to have a talk, myself, Jay, Spin, and Waterlover, about the upcoming exploration updates. It sounds really great. He's a great explorer, and that's why we brought him on today. So let me introduce the other people who are joining me on this show today. Yelling Shazbot all the way down the hill, it's Spinfuser.
Nice touch. Shazbot. Most people won't get that, though.
And someone who truly understands that, darling, it is better where it's wetter, Water
Hi,
Lover.
guys. Neutron stars are bad. Stay in school. Don't do drugs.
Classic Lubber.
So yeah, we're here for the exciting start of a new Simbad podcast.
So this is cool, Jay. Did you have this idea?
Yeah, I just thought, it's been a while since we did much with our media over at Simbad here, and it felt like a good way for us to get together, talk about the game, talk about the group, and reach out to those people who might have been lurking in the shadows, give them a little insight into the group.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we have some great conversations over voice too. We discuss the game, and it's, not everyone can be there and listen. So I think it's a cool way for people who are, driving home. Maybe they can't read text or whatever. They can catch up on what happens in Simbad and, what people are saying.
Yeah, and the important part is it's going to be about Elite. It's going to be about the games we play. It's going to be about Simbad. It's going to be about you, me, and everyone here.
Cool. So if I'm your average regular Symbian, I have a few questions. So where can I listen to the podcast?
Right now, just for ease of use, we're going to throw it up onto YouTube. If we start doing this more regularly, we're going to get it available through most of your typical podcast methods as well.
Okay. So how often are we going to be doing this?
We're trying to work that out, and a lot of it depends on how many people are interested in this. The more people who are interested, I think the more effort we can put into making it more often. I think ideally we'd like to be as available as you guys want us to be.
Cool. And I think we've mentioned it a few times in the Discord chat, but one of the questions I've seen a lot of people asking is, this is cool, can I participate? So what would you tell those people?
Absolutely. We want to bring guests on. What we want to hear is people who have a passion within Simbad, whether it's for exploration like our friend Water, whether it's fighting bugs, going out and PvPing, or just a game you're really excited about. We want to hear from people who have something they're excited about and want to share.
All right, cool.
So why don't we get into it? It's the Simbad survey results. It's been a while since we did a survey, and it's been great to hear what people have to say.
So it's our first one, right, Jay?
Well, we've done a few smaller, straw polls, that kind of thing, but this is probably the first one where we really went out to get an in-depth look at what people think.
All right, cool.
And what we found was that you guys really love events. Events were probably the most popular and most frequently talked about thing, whether it was things you loved about Simbad, was going to the events. If things you didn't like about Simbad is that we didn't have enough events. We heard all of that, and everyone loves events, and we're going to work really hard on getting those back up more often. And maybe you can talk a bit more about the results we got surrounding events.
Well, I think the consistency, having regular events, is what people want. We've been trying to do the AX nights lately, and then trying to make it a regular thing. I think we've had a lot of fun during events, but then we all get busy with our lives, and then we forget about it, and then there's no events for a month, and then it's not a it's not fun for people in Simbad to who want to play together, and we're encouraging people to even host their own events if they're interested and if they have an idea. Like um, Dr. Onwid was doing his AX event. We also had Professor Awan, who did a lot of like field trips to see different sciencey things. Havoc, I'm sure, will want to do his Murder the Princess event where we all try and kill him. So I think there's a lot there to gain.
Now, Water, are you surprised to find out that exploration trips actually made, I think, the top 3 of our most requested events?
I am very surprised considering that not many people attend my exploration trips, but I'm going to blame that on myself because I'm not really sure what you guys want. You guys don't know what I'm trying to do, and I am pretty bad at, gathering people together to participate in such events. In terms of other events, other than exploration trips, since I'm trying to plan more of those, I'm also trying to think more of the ARG type events. A while ago,
So wait, ARG?
ARG is I think it's augmented reality game, and it's kind of like what we did in Simbad in the past, and what FDev did when they were announcing the Thargoids, and I put "announce" in quotation marks, and that would be that would be stuff like the Leavisms. When we announced the asteroid base, we kind of had the puzzles for you to solve, and you'd go through one, and there'd be a puzzle a day or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
planning on a chain of puzzles, and those are really, really, really fun for me, and I love to make one. As for exploration trips, if you have any destinations in mind, please just PM them to me in the server, or I'll try to look at them. The new exploration trip, new exploration update, that's my fault. Q4, which I'm going to talk about a bit later, is dropping soon. And I think after that drops and people get a week to acclimate, I'm going to plan another trip out to some faraway destinations so everyone can enjoy the new wonderful mechanics that FDev has planned for us. So back to you two.
I know I'm looking forward to it, and think there's going to be a lot more hazards in exploration. But yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Sorry.
Now, Spin, was there anything around events that surprised you? Was there any event that you thought would be more popular or less popular and ended up being the other way around for you?
Well, I think races was a surprise. I think we'll be able to pull up the chart here on the video while when we edit this. But races was one of the top choices, which really surprised me. I didn't expect to see that. I don't think have we ever held a race? Not that I can think of.
We've had a few different races. We used to have some canyon races. We've done a couple SRV races, which are always complete disasters because everyone knows how lovely the SRVs are to handle. I think it's something that I was definitely surprised to see so popular. And as an inside look, when we had the call and we first went over these results as a group of admins, I think we all were quite shocked to see that. But I have to admit, they're one of the most fun and most accessible events that you can have, and I understand why there's excitement around them, and I can't wait to have us get that kick in the pants to really get some races going again.
Cool. Yeah, for anyone looking at the graph right now, there's the numbers at the bottom. They're fractions because these are weighted average. So because you could answer the question and I'm very interested, I'm somewhat interested, we had to do the scoring that way. But just look at the bars and which one's at the top to get the idea of what people were most interested in. So after races, there was new winged mining in 3.3, exploration, AX events, hot planet landings, which is an idea. Who had that idea? Do you guys remember?
Oof, I do not remember whose suggestion that was, to be honest.
Somebody mentioned it, and it's a Symbian or a regular, but someone who's on often. Anyways, the idea is this: there's a really hot planet near a sun, and like your ship overheats for sure when you try and land there. And I guess that was the challenge, try and land in one piece on that planet, and you get a really nice view of the sun while you're cooking on there.
Just make sure you have rebuy when you make that attempt.
Yeah. So a few more things: guided science tours, trading, PvP events, and I think CQC could be fun too. It's definitely very easy to organize and easy for anyone to jump into.
Yeah, and it really doesn't discriminate new or old commanders, so I was a little surprised to see that one as low as it is. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure we're all sure that FDev has abandoned that mode, but maybe we can see a little bit more out of it eventually.
Well, I think a good point is that you could do CQC while you're on exploration trips. So I think if a lot of people head out after this new update, they'll be, it'll be cool for them to be able to jump into some combat without having to fly back.
That is definitely a benefit. We were also very surprised to see that moving on from events, people really wanted to see us a lot more on YouTube, Twitch, and they even wanted to see a podcast. Were you at all surprised by this?
I don't know. I mean, the podcast, we had done one a super long time ago. Actually, you guys had done one. I was listening to it as a Symbian back at that point, and I don't know if there was a lot of interest for it. I sure enjoyed it, but I don't know if it's something that, well, I guess the survey results show that there is.
Yeah, and I should also mention I wasn't a part of that podcast myself. I was a lot more busy at that time. But yeah, I'm not too sure why it didn't take off. I think maybe just the interest hadn't drummed up enough by then. But we want to mention that we are going to be working on being more active on YouTube, on Twitch. We're going to work with our members and you guys. We just created a new content creators channel in the Discord. So we want to start working with you guys on how to make that active and basically make Simbad a way that we can all share our creativity as well as our gaming passions. Now,
Cool.
with the surveys, everyone likes to have a little fun as well. So I figured we could talk about some of the memes, some of the jokes, and just some of the interesting things that we found funny. And it's probably no surprise to some people, but Porgs came up 8 times in the survey.
Goddamn porgs haunting us everywhere.
You know, it's times like these that make me wish Chewbacca would have eaten the damn things.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's kind of like the, this new Star Wars trilogy. It's kind of like the meme animal to come out of it. I think there's some kid somewhere 10 years older who's still going on about Jar Jar in the first trilogy or something. So
or Ewoks, you know. Now, I should mention that the Porg mentions were both in the positives and negatives, so
I wonder who that was.
It's not a united front on either side, it seems. There were a few things that when we asked you guys what you thought we weren't so great at or something you didn't like about the group, a lot of people had some very valid criticisms, and as an admin group, we've taken a lot of those under consideration and are working to address some of those. Some of the funnier ones, though, really got me. We had one that said that the thing that someone doesn't like about Simbad is we don't have a HazRes, that's a hazardous resource extraction site, in Nutari.
Heavy breathing.
You don't mind if I asteroid base on you?
So, Spin, I figured maybe you could explain to people who maybe weren't around before this, why this stings so hard in our hearts.
This stings because we wanted the Nutari system. It's this very sweet system. It's got a nice star, a nice lava planet, and it's got a ring around it with a HazRes. And we actually started in 45 Tori next to Nutari because we didn't want to start in a medium population system. Those tend to be harder to move the influence in. So the plan was, let's start in 45, kind of build up, and then we'll go to Nutari. And sure enough, by the time we got there, a new faction got there, the Black Daggers. So that's why you could see those there. And we did have kind of a falling out with them. But they weren't really, other than this one confrontation we had where we officially declared war for Nutari, we never saw them after. But yeah, going back to Nutari, we love it because it has a HazRes. It's really close to the station. It's a very nice location. Unfortunately, when 3.0 dropped, the HazRes was gone. And,
now, there's something I feel that we're omitting here, is that this beautiful system that we had conquered and set up as our home, as nice as it is, we decided we want to decorate a little. We want a little something of our own in there. So we worked very, very hard. We had the community come together. We had multiple other player groups within Elite Dangerous come together to help us in a community goal that we got to have a asteroid base placed in the rings in Nutari. And the update that took that HazRes away came
like a week
about
after.
a week after we got that asteroid base. So that's why now when you go to Nutari and you see a little place called Simbad's Refuge,
It's
well,
empty.
there's no Haz-Res there because we came and made that place safe.
Yeah.
So
I guess
to
we
all the
could take it
miners
that way.
out there, you're welcome. You sacrificed a lot.
So yeah, I think to be fair, we might go back there with mining that's coming up in the next update. I hope so. FDev, we reached out to support and everything and said, "Hey, what happened, guys? Why did it disappear?" And the answer seemed to be like, "Oh, we modified a algorithm that randomly generates, where there's a Haz-Res and where there isn't, and the
You
algorithm
don't get
decided
one
that
anymore.
there was, yeah, basically. So spaghetti.
Yeah. Now that what you did mention with the new mining update, we saw some of that in the trailer as well. It does look like that could bring some activity down to Simbad's Refuge, and I'm really excited for that because
I hope
it's
so.
a beautiful base that needs to get some more use. Another answer that we got in the things people don't like about Simbad is that we're not a corporation in the game.
God damn it. So this is another one that trolls me. Because, as you guys know, we're in the Liangri power play space. And we love this space because it gives us 15% discount. It gives us pack-out missiles. We're neutral. We're not Federation. We're not Empire. But we wanted to align our faction, I guess, government style, it's called, to what is beneficial for this power play area. So obviously that's a corporation, and we unfortunately are a democracy. So
Goddamn democracy always getting in the way, right?
I know, right? So basically, so if you're fighting for Sirius and Liangri power play, near one of those controlled systems, it's to your best interest that all the surrounding systems are of corporate type. The faction that's in control of those systems, that is, on the minor faction side. And that gives you some sort of bonus where it costs you 50% less to prep or to maintain your systems, or I don't know. I don't play power play, but there's a benefit, and we wanted to be playing well with the serious folks, and I guess FDev just said no, so we will be staying in democracy. But thank you for that comment, whoever is trolling us on the survey.
And we had one that Simbad doesn't rule the universe with an iron fist, which of course we don't. We're a casual player group. We let you rule the universe how you see fit. And one comment that actually I wanted to bring up because it has to do with some of our other games was that someone mentioned that we weren't branching out to a lot of other games. Things like Here's the Storm, Overwatch, and that hurt me a bit because we used to have an Overwatch chat and unfortunately no one used it. So what I would suggest is other games is the way to go. Just mention what game...
We're looking to make communities out of every game. If you guys are interested, if you're playing it, let us know. If you'd like to see more people, if you'd like to be in charge of a new channel and doing recruitment on Reddit to bring people over, be my guest.
Absolutely. I tried very hard with the Overwatch and just didn't seem like it got a lot of traction. I will say, whoever that is, if you ever want to play Overwatch, I love it. Hit me up. I cannot get enough of that game. I'll play with you because it's like my heroin. Just fill me up.
Or we can point you to the people that we know that they play this game. So, for example, I think if anyone wants to play the Rainbow Six, Tenacity is big about that. But then there's also a lot of Forza interest lately, right, Jay?
Absolutely. Forza has picked up. It's got its own channel. We have weekly challenges that the members of the Forza channel are making for each other. So what they're doing is they're tuning cars, they're picking a race, they're posting their best lap time and challenging the rest of Simbad to beat their lap times. And for an update on that right now, our member Control Alt Dope currently leads week 2, which is a McLaren 570S in the snow that Luna created. He's got a time of 2 minutes, 16 seconds, 0.711. He leads Luna by over a second. We want to see some excitement. We want to see more people involved with Forza. So what we're doing is we have weekly rewards, Simbits. You can win that race. You're going to get yourself some Simbits. But we also are going to do a raffle for 1 month of Xbox Game Pass. This works with Xbox or PC. It gives you a month of the Xbox Game Pass, which right now has Forza Horizon 4 exclusively available to play whenever you want. So I'm playing it with the Game Pass. It's great, and it's a great way to check it out, see if you want the game. If you want to get involved in that, I'll be making an announcement after this podcast goes up. All you gotta do is add a wheel reaction, which I will put the first one on there for you so you know which one to hit, and we will raffle it from the names that come out from there. We're going to give away 4 of these 1-month keys.
Nice.
And now we have some pretty nice, sweet, new stuff to talk about with the Q4 trailer that just came out.
Yeah, we got really lucky with on the day we're recording this, the trailer came out, and it's just a short trailer. It's a teaser, but there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. I know Water Lubber just got home. Did you get a chance to watch it, Lubber?
Yeah, I did.
I managed to get a look at it real quick, but I figured maybe you guys can walk me through all the little details you managed to pull out of that trailer.
Right. Maybe we could give more of a general summary of what's coming in Q4. Lubber, you want to talk to us about that?
All right, so there are a number of things mentioned in the trailer. Well, I say mentioned, they were kind of just shown. It starts off with a new type of ship, which kind of looks like maybe one of the, I don't know how to, I would say crate, but that we already have that and it doesn't look like that.
No, it's the crate Phantom for sure.
All right.
So there was a leak because FDev employee accidentally posted categories for the Alliance Challenger and the crate Phantom, and was immediately removed, but that's how we knew about the Alliance Challenger ahead of time, and that's why we suspect the crate Phantom. And it really looks like a crate with different engines, so I'm pretty confident that's what it is. They have said ships, though, so there's more than one that's coming.
And you could also see it's flying through some kind of gas cloud with electrostatic discharge, so maybe that would be a new exploration hazard.
Definitely. New ways for you to die out there.
Nah, I'm just kidding. There's no way they'd ever had something as cool as gas giants. But that's just the starting footage, and that's the only exploration relevant stuff. You can see they're also announcing the new mining stuff in there a little bit later in the video. You can see.
What do you think that lightning is, Lubber? You think it's new ways for you to die out there as an explorer?
Realistically speaking, I don't think it's something that I can compare to real life. It's probably something that's going to have a lot of warning messages show up, and I'm thinking it'll have something to do with like the way neutron stars are now, where you could get something out of it.
Yeah, or you can get stuck in it, and then you have to have someone.
Likely, I think it has something to do with the Guardians. I believe that could be something that they could feasibly do it like a Guardian installation. Maybe I'll do some file dipping later. I just can. Bit later in the video, they just show some GUIs. That's squadrons. If you want to talk about squadrons, I'll let you chat it up, since that's like a big Simbad thing.
Absolutely. So we saw a sneak preview of what the squadron screens are going to look like. Spin, what do you think? We've been wanting this for a while.
Right. Well, for anyone who doesn't know what Squadron is, it's the in-game implementation of player groups. So yeah, of course, we've been really interested in that. If you're new to the group, you might have noticed we have a BGS goals channel. This is where mostly Havoc and I run the BGS, which is background simulation, basically pushing our own minor faction in the game. And I think one of the big surprises for me was that this trailer seems to show that the new squadrons link to the minor faction. Now, we didn't know if this would be coming. I honestly was trying to keep my expectations low, so I didn't expect it, but it looks pretty clearly linked to a minor faction in the trailer. So that's cool. I'm hoping it can be a place where we can post our objectives and have like maybe a Simbad mission board or something, but at least something in game to allow people to help our faction. And I think that's cool. That's what keeps me and a lot of other people in Simbad. That was also something that came out from the survey, Jay. BGS, right? It was the big thing. It keeps people interested in Simbad and keep playing Elite, having a reason to have those bounties they're bringing in.
Yeah, that was
fighting every night.
That was definitely another insight from the survey that we may forgotten to go over, unfortunately. People really want to do BGS. It's basically Simbad's way of keeping you interested in the game. right
We have to
now,
make our own gameplay.
yeah, right now I feel like there hasn't been anything to make me want to play as a group except for Simbad and the goals that we have. Uh,
And that's something we saw in the survey, Jay, because let me pull up the results here, but there was this one question had a very interesting response was, how many hours a week do you currently play Elite? And so obviously the most was 5 to 15. There was about an even amount of people, 15 to 30 or 1 to 5 hours per week. But there was a big chunk, 30%, that are not currently playing Elite. So,
yeah, and
like, why are they still in Sinbad? I think that's interesting.
well, I can answer that for you as someone who has been away from Elite for a while. Simbad is full of great people, and there's lots of other great games to play with the people you've met and become friends with on this server. I know I had not logged a lot of time into Elite for a good 6-7 months, but I was still here every day because it's just a great place for me to hang out. We also saw in that video, it seemed to show the minor factions home and the status there. Do you think this will include the rest of the systems controlled by that faction?
I mean, it's linked to the minor faction, so I think in some way, yes. I'm curious to see how this is going to work, because some of those factions out there have, like, control 30 plus systems. So
well, we're at what, 14 now?
Wow, I should know this.
It's getting up there. So
it's near 15, 16, around there. So yeah, I'm curious to see the interface. I'm curious to see what is it, what's it going to allow us to do? Are we going to be back to Discord posting BGS goals? Will we be posting them in game somehow? Like, one of the issues we have is, like, we'll say, go do bounty hunting for these 3 systems, but our members don't know who's been doing what. So sometimes you'll have a member kind of drop off a mission, and then another person go like, oh shit, I was about to do the same. Well, now, rip your exploration data. You dropped it there for nothing. So I'm hoping it can optimize efficiency and communication. If there were missions and people could take it, and then others would know that someone's taken that one, something like that, that would be ideal, but I don't want to get my hopes up.
And we also saw a small, quick preview of mining, or at least scanning for mines and the effects that blowing up a piece of ring, a rock, will look like. And it looks pretty cool to go mining now.
Yeah, I won't lie. What did you think about that, Lever?
I don't do mining other than to unlock engineers, simply because it doesn't pay a lot, and it's boring.
Now, though.
But maybe if FFdev did it right, they could do it right, and they could have it be like a skill curve thing. So, mining could be something that you could blow yourself up, but you could also make a bunch of money. What they most likely did is that instead of shooting an nursery with lasers for a while, you click through some GUI menus and click explode for a while, and that's Elite.
Well, I for one am super excited to sit around in a wing, drinking some beer and blowing up some asteroids.
It's like trading when we were doing wing trading. So I can maybe clarify, there's 3 types of mining now. There's going to be surface mining, which is similar to what we have now, like knocking particles from the surface of the asteroid. There's subsurface mining, which will be, you have to send something in there and it'll kind of explode out a chunk from something that's inside. And then there's deep core mining, where you'll have to place charges around the asteroid and then kind of back away and explode it. And I know the pieces of the asteroid will kind of bounce around the ring, so it'll be a hazard for sure.
Just give me that all the time, in a wing with 3 other people, as we have to dodge around the exploding asteroid bits we just blew up.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
It exists.
Especially if they're right outside the station.
Mining now sounds fun.
Like, we could mine those asteroids right in front of the Simbad's refuge, our asteroid station. So I don't know, like, is that going to work? Can you push those chunks around into the station? There's going to be some new interesting stuff to try and, play around with.
I'm just going to put the rule right now. There's to be no littering of asteroid chunks in Simbad's refuge. I get that it's in an asteroid, but there are no asteroids to go in the asteroid.
Littering and loitering are punishable by death.
They are. So why don't we get into the exploration updates, because that's a big reason why we brought Waterlubber on. big into exploration, I would love to hear a breakdown of all that is new, all that is beautiful about the new exploration updates.
All right, now I get to go from lurking in the background and occasionally chuckling to running out of breath as I talk for a really long time and bore you guys all to death. So
Breathe.
new update, the new update coming out here is offering a lot of stuff. It's putting a lot of stuff on the plate. Now, unfortunately, FDev has been somewhat vague about it, and we haven't really got some juicy, real details yet. But there's still some stuff that they've announced, and there's a lot of leeway between, is this going to be something that's going to be a really great boon or a really great hindrance to exploration, depending on the implementation.
So let me ask, as an exploration noob, like, let's say I just play from time to time. I've been exploring. It's just a lot of jumping, popping my scan. How is this going to make me want to explore more?
If you're just, the thing is with the exploration is there's different ways people do it. Some people do it for the money. That's Roads to Riches, stuff like that. This is probably going to hurt those people the most, people who just scan for money, or it actually might help them the most because you don't have to do nearly as much flying around in Super Cruise, which is great. For people who do long-distance exploration trips, like jumping out to Colonia, this is not really going to affect them because it doesn't really affect how you jump around, you know? So if you're the kind of person who wants to go to, like, Beagle Point or check out a nebula, you know, screenshot-type deals, this update is just going to make your life a little more interesting, but it's not going to really change gameplay. And if you were someone who tends to explore to get your name on stuff or make money, this is really going to change things up for you. So really just depends on what you do for exploration. There's two of them that kind of go hand in hand, but they're very different gameplay styles. I tend to be more of the former, where you're exploring to go to cool places rather than make money.
So I read online, actually this was, I think, Obsidian Ant mentioned that recording discoveries will be a collaborative process as well as an individual one. What do you think about that?
Now, actually, currently exploration is wing compatible. There is a system way out in the Formidine Rift that I think myself, Leavism, and Spin. Is it us? Yeah, we have our names on there because we discovered it when we were in a wing.
But the three of us, yeah.
That goes to show that when they say it can be multiplayer, it can really mean anything. But there's a lot of new features that they're adding that would probably be a lot more conducive to that kind of thing. And if they... I'm going to go into detail later, but if they share certain aspects of what you're doing across the wing, then it will be much more collaborative than it is now, where it's just people flying around being like, oh, wow, a brown rock, a green one, oh, wow, look, a yellow, you know, that's the way exploration is now.
And take selfies in front of it.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Things in front of, asps.
Yeah, asps in front of things, exactly. But the goals that FDev has for this, I have listed out here on my little note sheet. But they're trying to make exploration much more gameplay-oriented rather than time-based. So right now, the vast majority of it is jump, wait for witch base, super cruise around, scan things. There's not a lot of skill involved beyond neutron stars, which I have a love-hate relationship with those ones. But
so what you mean, I guess, is you could be an advanced, you know, experienced explorer like yourself, or you could be a noob like Jay and just head out there, and you're basically you don't get anything. You don't have an easier time from having that experience. It's just RNG every time.
Basically, yeah. The only thing that really gives me any boon in exploration is I just have very, very well outfitted exploration ships. But they're trying to add stuff like a mini game sort of to make exploration more engaged. So other mini games that we currently have are like the interdiction mini game, and this is kind of be a cross between that and the debug camera. So in short and brief, you could read about this on the FDev forums, but instead of flying to a planet to get the detailed scan like you do now, you can instead you honk it with your discovery scanner, and that'll reveal the star, and it will also reveal like general directions where stuff might be. And then you take your detailed scanner and you use it like you take your discovery scanner and use it like a telescope. You aim it where you think a planet's going to be. There's going to be some hinting that FDev says is going to be there, and you basically adjust various settings and sliders until the picture comes into focus. This is not very good explanation, but it's going to give you an idea of what the gameplay is going to be like. So you're going to be it's very similar to tuning in on a radio, like an old radio that's not modern with scanning, but you're going to be basically tuning in to find bodies as opposed to just flying in a straight line until the scan completes. So that's going to add a bit of skill curve. If they do it right, then you'll be able to do it very quickly if you know what you're doing, and it would take a bit longer if you're a new person to exploration.
So if I can, it's almost like when you enter the system, you're literally like a captain on his ship, taking out his telescope and trying to focus in on the landmass that lay in front of him.
Exactly. That's the way that they have it planned, and that's probably what's going to happen.
So I think
Oops,
if
sorry.
I understand, if I understand correctly, I'll arrive in a system, I'll kind of pop a scan like before, but then it'll just show me that there's objects or bodies, and then you'll be able to kind of, while I'm still near that main star that I arrived at, kind of have a look at that body, but at the same time, it won't be like a full look, but I might be able, if I do it right, to tell what kind of planet it is, right?
Yep. And once you have yourself dialed in, it'll give you the discovery. It'll say discovered by Commander Spinfuse or whatever.
Okay.
You'll get all that just like it is now. So instead of flying there, you're going to be using a telescope, which is nice because you can stay near the main star and you can check out remote bodies
And discover stuff. Yeah. Cool.
So all those systems where you're flying and you see stuff like 200 million light seconds away, and you're like, hell no, I'm not flying out there. Go there. You could get those discoveries.
Yeah.
The other thing they're using under this mechanism, which is going to have much broader implications, is they're removing random USS spawning. So if you've ever done any engineering in the game, which I'm sure you have if you have Horizons, you'll know what a great and exciting, engaging process it is to look for high-grade emissions or encoded emissions, both of which are entirely RNG. They're using similar to planetary mechanics, where you're kind of looking around for fixed things. So imagine it's going to be the same mechanism for planets, but instead of with the way USSs are now, you're going to be looking for stuff like combat zones or house arrests that are kind of semi-persistent. Like they don't disappear right away, but they can change with time. So looking for a USS is going to be a lot less RNG based and hopefully a lot more skill based, and you'll be able to, find what you need to go there instead of just flying around aimlessly for hours waiting for things to spawn.
And so, Water, as a min-maxer, if I want to go in there and just grind out G5 mats, like, how is this going to change for me? I'm not, honestly, I don't really understand this. Right now, what I'm doing is popping in and out of USSs, hoping it's the right one, or just scanning them at least. But now, will I be jumping into the system, looking at all the USSs, and then to refresh them, I'll have to keep jumping out and back in? Is that the new grind? Like, what's it going to be?
FDev has been kind of vague on the implementation, probably because it's going to be grinds, knowing them. But worst case scenario, it's going to be pretty much permanent. So you're going to have to go to an entirely different system. Best case scenario, very easy to regenerate, or even better, you could just keep dropping in on the same one after a certain amount of time, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Most likely, what you're going to end up having to do is refresh them somehow after you've exhausted all the ones in a system. But I'm guessing that the ones in the system, since you get probably about 10 mats per USS, are going to be sufficient unless you're really going to fill up your high-grade mats. So it really just comes down to implementation.
What about the new? So they're talking about new graphics, basically new lighting system and new color grading. As I understand it, the lighting is going to be generated differently depending on the color of the star and where you are in the system.
That's definitely a welcome change. Currently, lighting is a little weird. There's some inconsistencies. Color of the star does influence stuff, like the skybox. There's a Spirograph Nebula is a great example of how the color changes with light. But hopefully they'll go for a more realistic lighting scheme, and we'll be able to get some really cool, Space Odyssey-esque shots out of partially lit moons and vacuum bodies. And we
or
won't
like a
have
sun rising in
where,
space.
you fly around the back of a planet and it's like looking like into an arc welder or something, So
you were talking about how planets were really dark?
Right now, planets have really, really, really steep automatic gain control on them. So no matter if you're on the light side or the dark side, things are going to look mostly the same. No matter what kind of star there is. Hopefully with these changes, you'll be able to get more unique lighting systems. Planets are going to look different, and there's going to be more hidden jewels that have really cool lighting schemes that probably are going to be new hotspots for exploration.
Yeah, it kind of sucks when you get to the dark side of a planet and then things just come into focus and then the dark just becomes really bright. It kind of
that's exactly what I hope they change.
Yeah.
As for star colors, there's a wide variety of different spectra, and depending on how they set it up, you could get some really crazy shots, especially where multiple stars interact.
And what do you think about the codex too? So they tell us a bit what it is and what you expect out of it.
As for the codex, I don't really have very high expectations, not because I don't think they're going to do something all right, but I think that the existing exploration tools we have, like ED Discovery, EDDB, EDSM, all these great websites, are just going to outclass it in terms of capabilities.
That's
But
like the trading changes, right? They added stuff to the map, but we all still use EDDB and we don't look at the map.
exactly, that's the way I think it's going to be. However, there are a few things that you can really only do in game that would be really awesome. They've previously shown willingness to integrate with third-party tools because it's kind of necessary for the game. So if they add stuff like export discoveries, that would be awesome. Other things they could do with it is, sorry about that. They could have it be more of like a list of things that you've been seeing, like your recent destinations. So when you're saying, "Oh, what was that really cool planet I saw a while ago?" you could just check it up in your codex, which is a bit like a captain's log. So again, really comes down to implementation. NetDev tends to do bad job on some things and good things on others.
That's cool. What about the new ships? So obviously we discussed the Phantom crate, something. It's going to be a crate ship. And there's other ships because they did say plural. I don't know if it's one or two. But one of the names that was floating around / leaked / was that leak legit? We don't know. Was the Panther Clipper? I think I remember hearing you, Waterlubber, in the past podcast we did like years ago, and we were still talking about the Panther Clipper back then, or you were. And here we are, like 3 years later, still
Talking
waiting.
about the Panther Clipper.
Still waiting to see if it's coming.
Before we get to the Panther Clipper, there is another change in exploration I want to mention.
Oh.
Detailed surface scanners are getting an overhaul.
Oh, right.
Instead of being like an add-on for the ADS, you're going to be launching little probes. Now,
so like
the mechanics
discovering
of these
that
probes
planet from afar that you mentioned before is just the first step, right? Then you have to fly to it.
Well, no, you discover it and then you get the discovery like it already is. They're adding a new thing. So the DSS, instead of being something that you just do to get more money, will do surface scanning. So if you've ever done Canoodle, Canon, whatever it's pronounced, it's an in-joke in Simbad. Yeah, Canon, yeah. But that group, Simbad itself, Awan specifically, our resident scientist, we've all been flying around planets looking for cool stuff like Thargoids or Guardians or Brain Trees or whatever. These probes are going to find that stuff automatically for us. And the way they work is they're consumable, which is really upsetting because exploration consumables don't work out well. So you're going to have to grind mats to synthesize these things to use them, which sucks, but it's FDev. You can launch them around the planet and they'll kind of orbit around. I'm not sure how the mechanics are going to be, if they're going to be more realistic or they're going to be more cinematic or gamey. But either way, they're going to be a skill-based thing where you basically aim them around a planet and they'll scan whatever they fly over. So if you've ever played KSP and used a mod called ScanSat, they're little probes that'll work much like that.
So I think the idea is you kind of lob them into the gravity field and you can even cover the backside of the planet with probes, right?
Yeah, if you're skilled, you will. If you're not skilled, you're going to have to use a lot of them to get a good scan. And once you scan these things, you could get a mapped by thing. Now, none of the systems in the bubble have this attribute. Nice. So if you really want to get your name on permanent systems, go around to the bubble, get that map by thing the moment after it launches.
I know I'll be mapping some of our systems for sure.
Oh, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
All right, not to leave
about those probes. Wait. About those probes. I think they said they wouldn't be cargo on your ship. I thought that was cool. They'd be like a separate inventory.
Yeah, they're probably going to be like materials or data, or most likely like AFMU ammo. The way it kind of is like a pseudo inventory in the module itself.
Yeah.
It really depends on how cheap they are. If you could get like 100 of them for like a couple mats, then it's probably going to be fine. But if they're going to be like the way limpets are, where you need significant amounts of map for very few of them,
no, I
don't see them being used often in exploration.
Yeah, I think specifically they didn't want it to turn out like that. And what I've even seen was about 200 cargo. So that would be very nice.
Moving on to the Panther Clipper, which we mentioned before. So
yes, it would make sense, right? Mining, big cargo ship. They said it would barely fit through the mail slot.
So basically, the Panther Clipper in Elite lore and previous games would be the Panamax ship. So imagine you took the mail slot and you made a cardboard cutout of it, and then you made a ship the size of a large pad and the size of the mail slot. The biggest possible ship you could do. And this thing was a brick. It would be like the Winnebago of ships. It would go extremely slowly, go from point A to point B. It would be perfect for high volume trading, like flying around different systems and stuff like that. Not good for much else. So basically what the Type 9 should have been. And in Elite lore, these kinds of ships would buy entire stations out of their cargo. So with a ship like that, Filthy Imperial. With a ship like this, you're looking at cargo capacities from 1,000 to even 2,000. So it's going to be a big game changer if they actually with it.
So what's the max right now? Just like about 800 with a cutter?
The cutter is, I think, 796. I think.
So yeah,
runner-up is the Type
1,000.
9 at about 600 or 500 or so.
And I think that would be cool because the new mining seems to be kind of the deep core mining specifically. First of all, they'll all require different weapons, but for the deep core mining, which seems to be the most fun and interesting one, like it makes sense to have a big whale of a ship like a Panther Clipper standing by with all those collection limpets, and then you have maybe a bunch of smaller Cobras or whatever, because you need to fly around the asteroid and place charges in key areas. So I could see where a team of commanders could complement each other in a setup like that.
If that does come out, I'm going to be really happy with FTF because what they haven't really done is really worked wings well into anything. There's very, very few things in game where wing missions are just missions that you could send to other people. They're not really, one guy does one thing, one guy does another. The only thing that really involves
it's off
cooperation maybe is stuff like Thargoids, but even then that's not because of the game itself, but just because it comes out of necessity, So seeing actual usage for wings where they're a big help and they're diversified roles rather than just people in the same area, that would be a really awesome gameplay thing.
I think wings are okay. They're not balanced. They need if everyone's doing more money doing Robigo runs alone, then people are going to do that. So I think if they balance things out, I think that's going to help a lot. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great assets in the game. Like we have planets and planetary outposts and settlements and whatnot. Like give us missions where you have to escort some Goliath or skimmers or whatever, and you send like a ship to attack it. I don't know. I could see so many possibilities of escort missions or things on planet surfaces that would be so much fun. And we have all the assets to do it. We just don't have the missions, we would even do an event ourselves. We're talking about the Snatch the Cargo event where I don't know, someone like Havoc flies with a cargo ship and then we'd have to steal a specific type of cargo. Like, why do we have to make that mission? Why isn't that already in the game?
I think I don't know. FDev has a lot of talent, but I kind of feel that they're a bit mismanaged. There's stuff that they do extremely well, like their engine and the way things are put together, like planet, sound design, music. They have a great framework, but they don't have a lot of game design on their team. And I guess it's kind of a bit of a feature from the earliest games they made, like the original Elite, where you kind of invented your own gameplay and it just gave you a platform to build on. So while I'm not upset that they're kind of doing that, it would be really nice if they either made missions like in a size, something you didn't have to do all the time, or they made them actually fun. So if you were making money slowly, you'd at least be having a good time. Because right now they seem to be very mutually exclusive, Things that are fun don't pay money and vice versa.
Yeah. Okay. One final thing here, because we got to wrap up. I was watching the Obsidian Ant video, and obviously Obsidian Ant and some other content creators, as most of you know, were invited to FDev offices. They have seen the new update, and they seem quite excited. So I'm trying not to get my hopes up again, but fingers crossed here. They said, well, he said specifically it's going to be larger than the Beyond Q1, Q2, and Q3 updates combined, and it really kind of explained to him. It explains why we're wondering where all the content and the devs were working on during this whole year. They're working on Q4, so I think that's encouraging. And one of the last things he mentioned, he said he cited that one of the changes is a change to the cockpit interface. It's very curious. I don't know what he meant by that. And he obviously signed an NDA, so he can't talk about what he saw that hasn't been announced. But he did say this. He said, and I know right here that there will be one thing people will be very surprised about. So what do you think that is?
Oh man, anything I say, we're going to look back at it and laugh. I think maybe we're going to be surprised that FTev actually pulled it off and made a good update.
I'm gonna go with they've bamboozled us all, and fleet carriers are in the game.
That No, I don't think so. They went through all the trouble of having that negative publicity. I don't think they would go there. What I was thinking, and I don't know if this counts as a cockpit interface or a separate interface, but I'm kind of hoping it's those, what do you call them, Waterlubber? The system map that didn't suck?
Oh, there was a very long time ago. There was a concept for a system map that was more similar to like a Space Engine or KSP or Universe Sandbox than it
Yeah,
is now.
where you could see where they are in their orbit around the star, not just in a row on a map.
I think that would be a really cool thing to see. And maybe if they are going to add that, maybe they're going to add jump points within systems. No, of course not.
I don't think so. I think it's cool to have that star that's far in a system that makes it like a trek to get there. But yeah, they did say changes to the cockpit interface. So I really don't know what that could be. Obviously, it's something more that he seems to be referring to than the new interfaces for exploration. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out Thursday.
Status button. That's it.
What's that? Additional wires in the cockpit?
No, additional wanted status button. And
Yes.
wires in the cockpit too. Paperclip is going to look like the inside of like a spider web.
Well, we'll all have to wait till Thursday for that stream, and hopefully we'll get a good look at what we all can expect. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up the first ever episode of the Simbad Podcast, or the first ever episode of the new Simbad Podcast. Season 2.
Do you think people are still listening, or at this point we could just say whatever?
I think if it wasn't recorded on the internet, we probably could. But
yeah, I want to say for the record, I think Havoc is the most annoying person I've ever met.
I'm going to second that.
Yeah, right. I don't know why we haven't banned him.
It's a constant, the fingers on the trigger. Just one day. Obviously jokes. We love Havoc. Havoc got many sweet, loving mentions in the survey.
He did. People freaking love him.
Apparently the rest of us admins are all just hot garbage because it's all about Havoc right now.
Like
it's the Horizons raffle. I'm still holding that grudge.
Oh my god. Because you didn't win the Horizons raffle?
No. For all of those out of the loop, a very long time ago, there was a raffle for Horizons, and like only 2 people entered, me and some other person whose username also started with WA. And
oh yeah, leave
like, and the winner is Wah, and then
it wasn't you.
Yeah, it wasn't. He just did it to mess with me, and it was entirely in jest. But I still kind of poke him about it every once in a while, just to screw with him.
Oh, it was a good one. You still remember it?
Yeah, it was a good bamboozle. I have to say.
All right, so
Carry now, just kidding.
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in, especially if you've tuned in till this point. Make sure you check us out on Twitter, Simbad Gaming, simbadgaming.com, and let us know what you thought about the first podcast. A reminder, the Forza Horizon contest we're going to be putting up. We're going to have that in the announcements channel. All you have to do is add a little reaction. You'll be entered to win 1 month of Xbox Game Pass, which will allow you to play Forza Horizon 4 for free. And hopefully you guys like this and we can come back and do it again soon. If you guys don't like it, I guess I'll just go cry in a sad corner. Please be nice. I love you all. Good night.